Okay, I think we'll get started. Fun day today. We're not actually going to be doing too much science-related stuff here with this one, but we're going to change the configuration on the LuckFox so that we can liberate the USB port. So as of late, we've been just powering the LuckFox through its USB port. And there it was configured as what's called a device. Now we're going to configure it as a host, and then it'll behave like a normal USB drive that's just on your computer. And so we'll be able to put a thumb drive in and store data and transfer files, and then we'll be able to use a webcam. So these will be our two examples for this lab. And then we'll have some upcoming labs where we'll use different types of things you might interface with the USB. So the next couple of labs will be involving this USB port. So we're going to actually power on the Vbus pins. So what I did was I just took an old USB cable, so I can plug it into the wall, cut it, and then spliced in some banana plugs and put it in that allowed me to use a breadboard like like this, and I'll show it on the cam coming up, and just plug in the power that way, and instead of using up the USB port. Okay, we'll go into the LuckFox configuration. We've done this in the previous labs to configure our I2C drive and other things like that. So it'll be the same entering that BIOS. We just change from device to host. So we'll go through that. Then to utilize the webcam, we just have to install fswebcam, and that will work in most cases. And so I've got two cameras here. One is a newer type camera, and this is the one that I was going to use in the lab and didn't. Now this will be a little unsatisfying because in the lab I just needed to expose the camera, and so I took the lens off of here, and for the life of me I cannot find that lens. So we're not going to get like a clear image. We're just going to get a spread out light across the chip. And then I've got a very old camera that has proven to be very, very flaky. So I've tested it with newer cameras, and this works just fine. I was going to go into a little bit of the troubleshooting. I do have some of that written up on the PDF file that accompanies this. You could try that. I think, though, ultimately, if you've got some old camera, it'll be just spending some quality time with ChatGPT or Gemini to figure out just how to get it to work. And I was able to get this to work, sort of, so I was going to go into it, but it's still very, very flaky. So I apologize in advance. There'll be a couple of cuts in the video as we go along, cutting out some of the points talking about this Logitech. So I'm not really going to go into this old camera at all, even though you'll see it on the screen. Thumb drive works great. A lot of this is just Linux, and if you're good at Linux, I would say just see how you get your LuckFox going, and then you don't have to suffer through an amateur like me trying to do Linux on the keyboard. So if you know how to mount a drive, find the webcams in normal Linux setup, then you're really good to go. All you really need is to know how to power the LuckFox. This is everything will work if you've been following along. Just if you're new, we built our starting point off of the Ubuntu install onto the ARM processor part of the LuckFox. LuckFox has a RISC-V processor and an ARM processor, running off that ARM processor with Ubuntu. And the LuckFox tutorial has that, and then there's a very good YouTube channel, Fusion Automate, has video on how to get that Ubuntu installed, and that's what we did to get started. And then if you go back to our lab number 1, we set up all the Python for that. It's actually not really that necessary, but because the Python program we're going to run here to just capture an image is quite simple. So that should get you all set if you haven't been following along with all the other labs. Okay, with that, I think we'll go to the computer and get started. Okay, let's look at our setup here. So very simple with the LuckFox. We have been powering this with the USB-C, but now we're going to take advantage of the fact that this has a USB port that can serve as a host for peripherals. And so, as I mentioned up at the whiteboard, we're going to look at some webcams, and we've got two here. I'll say a little bit more about this one, so we'll do this one. Then, since most of my stuff, including these cameras and my thumb drives, are just the old style, the old USB, I've got just a USB to USB-C converter here, so that we can stick into the LuckFox port. And then finally, this is just a thumb drive with just some random files on it. So we'll be looking at getting these connected. Let's look at the pinout here. And so what we're doing now, instead of powering with the USB, we're going to power with the Vbus. So that's physical pin 40 here, and then of course we would ground it on 38. So I'm going to pause the video a little bit and flip this picture. Well, maybe, yeah, I'll pause the video, flip this picture around so it matches over here real quickly. The writing will be upside down. Okay, so I've turned this upside down, and so we can see here this last pin down here. That's this going to our positive line. So our positive rail here goes to this rail. All this is here, I just took some banana plugs and cut off an old USB power supply. So this is supplying 5 volts, and then just splice these in so that it can fit nicely into these breadboards. So this is really getting just USB power supply, but now coming in through the Vbus pins right here. So this guy to this rail to the first, and then the ground to this far rail to the third pin up. Okay, so let me talk a little bit more about this camera here. A couple of things. So this is the camera that I'm using. So nothing special about this. The only thing I want to point out, a very standard chip, the OV style chip with the OV4680. This is yes, modestly expensive camera. I had bought it for some experiments because I wanted the high frame rate, but I was never able to get it to really work. So it turns out I ended up using a $9.99 Raspberry Pi camera directly hooked up to the board, the Raspberry Pi board. So that worked great in the lab. So I have this extra camera around, but what I needed to do there was just shine some laser light right onto the imaging chip on the camera. So I removed the lens, and so you can see here there's no lens on here, and so you can just hard to see, it probably can't, yeah, you can kind of see the chip array back there, sensor. And so when we take an image here, there's no lens, so it's just going to be a blur of a single, just sort of a single blur across the whole chip. So we won't get the satisfaction of actually seeing a lens here. For the life of me, I can't find the lens. All right, so the next thing we need to do is let's get our a PDF file that I've written to kind of follow along here. So that is found at our site. So we'll just go to Darren Olness and darrenolness.com. And then under Teaching LuckFox, so this is our page. If you've been following along, you're familiar with this page. And we'll just go down to the bottom here, USB configuration, the webcam, and the thumb drive. PDF file. So just go ahead and download this. So I've already got it downloaded, and I've highlighted a few things, and we've got our terminal up over here. So what we're going to do is first we're going to configure this to operate as a host. So we need to go okay, so here we are, and we're going to go to advanced options, and now we'll go down to USB, and we can see here it's set as device, so I need to set it as the host. Okay. And now we have to restart this to actually be working as a host, so we'll have to exit out of here, and we'll go reboot. And then let's see if it takes a while. Oops, sudo reboot. So we're closed. So now I will connect back. Okay, we're back. Okay, so we have our host, our USB set up as a host. So I guess I kind of skipped steps here, not that it's important. So we've got this configured as a host, and so what I did there was just go through this little bit. We rebooted, and we're back. Now we have to add software to work with the camera. So we're going to go sudo apt update, which is always a good thing to do. It can't hurt if you're already updated. Okay, so now we're updated. So now we'll go sudo apt install SW or FS webcam. Okay, so now we're back and ready. So I will set up, let's set up the webcam. So just gonna plug the USB into the USB-C, and then have the webcam here. So we'll plug that in. And I'll just face the camera kind of up to the room lights, which you can't see here, but so I'm going to just put this off screen a bit, but up towards the room lights. And one thing we can do here is kind of get a check on whether it caught that something was plugged in. So you can go D message and then a space and then this break line and then tail. And so we can see here that a camera is in. So you should check this. If it doesn't show that there's a camera, then there might be something wrong. Maybe you can unplug and replug it in, or you have a camera that will have that won't necessarily work, an older camera or something. But most cameras should show up here like this. So this kind of verifies that we've got the camera in there. So where are we at now? That's right here. And so now let's just see if it works. So I'm going to go to my projects page or folder. Oops, CD projects. And then let's just type test image dot JPEG. And so go ahead and just hit enter there. And hopefully this will work. Oh, no device. Okay. It's trying to access the dev folder, which you need sudo access. So I've been forgetting sudo a lot today. So looks like it's there. So let's go ahead and see. So again, this is just going to show kind of probably a reddish, just image. It will be not discernible at all in terms of anything in focus. But let's just see if it's in our directory. And there is test image in our directory. So now I'm going to have another terminal here that I'm going to copy over. So this should, this SCP, that's going to copy over this file from our projects on the LuckFox test image to the downloads folder on my main machine here. So let's hope that works. And hopefully it's there. So now let's go to downloads. We should have something called test image, and it's just going to be, again, a little unsatisfying here because we don't have a lens on the camera. But yeah, this was pointing at the room lights, so completely white. So let's turn it down a little. Let's turn it kind of upside down, but not completely dark. And let's run take another image. So we will go back to, we'll keep this guy down here, go back to our LuckFox, and let's call this test image 2. And let's come back over here, test image 2. This is on my main machine now. Test image 2, and then now let's see if that came in. So there, this is in. This will be a darker image, but I don't have it completely dark, so we indeed see a difference here. So unfortunately, I don't have another camera that, well, we'll look at this LuckFox. I don't have another just camera, plug and play camera. I use my dock cam, and that plugged in just fine. I think this cam that I have here would probably do it right away because that's a camera I just bought. But this Logitech is quite an old camera, a number of years old. So that's probably why we're having trouble. Let's write a Python program to take a picture. So go back to our page here, go to the take picture. It's also on GitHub. Notice it's a .text file. It's actually a Python file. But to store it in my Google Drives, where we pull this from, I can't have it as a PY file. Okay, copied that. Let's go back. Oops. Let's go back to the terminal. Not this terminal. This terminal. And we'll go sudo nano, we'll call it take picture. Paste this in. Make sure it's all good. So I won't necessarily go through this. You can kind of look at this. Jim and I wrote this in one shot, so you can just have, you can either just do that or copy this if you want to really get in and look at things and understand like the file structure with this Linux. If you're kind of new to Linux, which I certainly am, you can kind of learn a little bit about that. So let's go ahead and save this. So we'll just Control X and then Y, and then we'll go sudo Python 3. So this program is going to ask us for a file name, and then it'll take a picture. Okay, so let's give it, so let's go call this Python pic.jpg. And so it says it did it, so let's check. And there is Python pic. I don't think we'll take the time to transfer it over. It's going to be the same as test image 2 here. So that's just a little Python program that you can interact with your camera. So once you have that, you can take off with that and do whatever you like with it. Okay, let's move on here now to the thumb drive. So let's go ahead and put the thumb drive in. And what we want to do here is, let's see if it recognized something going into the USB port. And we do see this SDA device. So that means it's probably seeing that thumb drive. So let's just try some simple commands here to identify it. And here it is, this 32 gig SDA1. Okay. We can look a little bit further. We know our USB drive is in, and it's of this device right here. So first thing we need to do is let's make a My USB drive in, so I'm right here in my sort of home drive. So I've got this My projects. Let's make a My USB. So I guess I could don't need this, we're already there, but you only have to do this once, so every time you plug this in again, you won't need to redo this. And so we'll check this there, and there we are right here. So now what we need to do is mount the drive. So I'm gonna try to copy this. Hopefully this will copy okay. Didn't copy correctly. I'll type it in. Okay, we'll try that again. Okay, so looks like it mounted. So just had some typing issues there, and it should be mounted now. So let's check this. And so now let's go into change directory into My USB and ls, and we can see some files here. So let's go ahead and add a file. So our new file .text. And here is a file saved to a thumb drive. And our new file shows up right here. Okay, so now let's unmount. Well, actually, here's another file here. Let's make sure we can read the file. So if we go sudo nano my file, and this was a file I had written earlier, and so we can go ahead and read it and edit it and everything. Okay, so let's unmount the drive now. So we want to pull out the thumb drive. Let's unmount it. Oops, I need to sudo. Oh, good point here. I can't do this when I'm actually in the directory. So I have to back out and try that again. Okay, so now it's unmounted. I can pull this out. I'm going to put it into my main machine now. So here it is right here. And then here is our file we just wrote. So let's open that up. And here's a file to the thumb drive. Okay, I guess I spelled drive incorrectly. Okay, so that is how to mount the drive. And so you can imagine now if you needed a data logger or something like that, you could mount a much bigger drive, or this is even plenty big if you're just taking temperature every hour or something. But you put a terabyte drive on there, you could take a temperature every 15 minutes for probably years. And so it's a way to extend the LuckFox's memory massively if you would need to do that. So that is using the USB to mount a thumb drive. We also saw how we used it for a webcam, and so this is some basic usage. And in the next videos, we'll talk about some other interfacing with the USB drive.